Welcome back to the Awesome Agents podcast. Today we are talking about Microsoft Copilot doing something it was very much not supposed to do.
Yeah, this one is a big deal, and I think it is getting less attention than it deserves. For about 2 weeks, Copilot was summarizing confidential emails that were explicitly labeled as off limits.
Okay, so walk me through this. Companies put these sensitivity labels on emails like confidential or highly confidential, and Copilot is supposed to respect those, right?
Exactly. Microsoft Purview sensitivity labels are the enterprise mechanism for telling AI services, hey, this content exists, the user can see it, but you should not process it. It is a hard boundary.
And Copilot just ignored them?
For two specific Outlook folders, yes, sent items and drafts. Starting around January 21st, a code defect broke label enforcement in the Copilot chat retrieval pipeline for those folders.
So when you ask Copilot a question, it would pull in confidential emails and just blend them into its answer.
Right. And here's the subtle part. You might think sent items only has outgoing mail, but those messages contain entire quoted conversation threads, so the real exposure was much broader than just what you sent.
That is a really good point. So where did Microsoft actually disclose this?
They posted a service health advisory on February 3rd. A fix started rolling out February 10th, and they say worldwide remediation was done by February 19th. So, about a 3 week window from when it started to when it was patched.
And the NHS was affected. That caught my eye.
Yeah, the UK National Health Service confirmed they tracked it as an incident. They said patient data was not exposed because their policy already prohibits using Copilot for clinical data. But the fact that a healthcare system had to go verify that is exactly the problem.
Right. The whole point of these labels is that you should not have to worry about it. They are supposed to be a guarantee, not a suggestion.
Exactly. And Microsoft's official response was interesting. They said, and I am paraphrasing, this did not give anyone access to information they were not already authorized to see.
Okay, but that is kind of missing the point, right?
Completely. A user being authorized to view a confidential email is a very different thing from that email being fed into an AI summarization engine that blends it with other context and synthesizes a response. That distinction is the entire reason sensitivity labels exist.
So this has happened before too?
Yes, and this is where it gets really concerning. In June 2025, they patched something called Echo Leak that was a critical zero click vulnerability where an attacker could send a normal looking email with hidden prompts. When anyone in the org asked Copilot a question, it would ingest that email and silently exfiltrate data.
Wait, that is a completely different type of attack though, right? One is an adversarial attack and one is just a bug.
Different. Different causes, same outcome. In both cases, Copilot's retrieval pipeline violated its own trust boundary. And here is the kicker: neither incident triggered a single security alert. No DLP system caught either one.
How is that possible? I mean, that is literally what DLP is for.
So, this is the structural problem. Traditional DLP monitors data in transit, emails being sent, files being uploaded, that sort of thing. It watches the pipes. But Copilot's retrieval pipeline operates entirely inside the trust boundary.
Meaning the data never technically leaves the environment.
Right. It moves from Exchange to the Microsoft Graph Index to the Copilot inference engine, all within the same tenant. From DLP's perspective, nothing happened. There is nothing to flag.
So sensitivity labels were supposed to be the backup system for exactly this scenario though, and they failed. Twice.
Twice in 8 months. And both times it was discovered through external reports, not Microsoft's own detection. That is the part that should worry security teams.
You know what is wild? 72% of S&P 500 companies now cite AI as a material risk in their regulatory filings. This is literally the scenario they are worried about.
And Microsoft still has not disclosed how many organizations were affected, whether any confidential data was actually surfaced during that 2 week window, or whether audit logs even captured which labeled emails were processed.
So enterprises are kind of flying blind here.
The question is not whether sensitivity labels work most of the time. They probably do. The question is what happens when they fail and whether anyone even notices. Right now, the answer to the second part seems to be no.
That is a sobering takeaway. If you are running Microsoft 365 with Copilot, I would say go check your purview policies and maybe do not assume the guardrails are airtight. Maya, thanks for breaking this one down.
Always, this one is worth keeping an eye on. Microsoft has a status update scheduled for February 24th, so we might learn more soon.
That is it for today. If this was useful, share it with your security team. We will see you next time on the Awesome Agents podcast.